I'm Brian Professor B. Davis. This is your San Francisco 49ers 2018 season recap on NinersRadio.com. As we're going to do a final analysis of the season for the 49ers, just a recap of all the stats and numbers and where the Niners go from here for this upcoming offseason. So the 49ers end up finishing the 2018 campaign with a 4-12 record, finishing in third place in the NFC West. The Niners, of course, were decimated by so many injuries, as the 49ers were hit by so many injuries. Over a dozen players end up going down with season-ending injured reserve. Niners, there was a lot of expectations that the Niners would go on to compete with the Rams this year, but the injuries really was huge. And, as 16 players ended up going up on IR, and the injuries were, and the Niners, of course, 4-12, fourth consecutive year that the Niners finished with at least 10 or more losses for the fourth consecutive year. Fifth straight year that the Niners do not make the playoffs. But the positive out of this was, the good positive was the Niners finishing out of the cellar from the not finishing in the cellar of the NFC West for the first time since 2014 when Jim Harbaugh was the head coach. Let's go into the final rankings for the Niners. The Niners ranked 21st in points per game, averaging 21.4 points. Points against, they're ranked 28th, 435, 14th in yards per game. They average 384.3 yards, 14th in pass per yards per game, 265.4, 13th in rush yards per game, ranked 13th, and ranked dead last in turnover margin minus, or in interceptions, ranked dead last in all of football. Final numbers for the season. Nick Mullins was 176 out of 274 for 2,277 yards, 13 touchdowns with a 109-point rating. C.J. Beathard, 106 games, 102 out of 169 for 1,252 yards, 8 touchdown passes. Jimmy Garoppolo in his shortened season, 3 games played, 53 out of 89 for 718 yards, 3 touchdown passes with an even 90 quarterback rating. Matt Breida, 14 carries for 153 yards. He ended up having 53 carries for 814 yards, averaging 5.3 yards. 3 touchdowns. Alfred Morris, 111 carries for 428 yards, averaging 3.9 yards and a touchdown. Jeff Wilson Jr., 66 carries for 266 yards, averaging 4 yards. And Raheem Morris, 34 carries for 261 yards, averaging 7.7 yards a carry and a touchdown. As we go into the receiving, Greg Kittle, who was most likely the team MVP, 8 catches for 1,377 yards, averaged 15.6 yards a catch, 5 touchdowns. That's the new NFL single-season record and Niners franchise record in franchise history. Kendrick Bourne, 42 catches for 487 yards, averaging 11.6 yards a catch, 4 touchdowns. Dante Pettis' rookie year, 12 games, 27 catches, 467 yards, 17.3 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Marquise Gooden, 11 games played, 23 catches for 395 yards, averaged 17.2 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And Pierre Garçon, only in 8 games, 24 catches, 286 yards, averaging 10.8 yards per catch. Defensively, it was DeForest Buckner, played all 16 games, He ended up having 12 sacks, 23 assisted tackles, 24 tackles. Richie James Jr. in 13 games, punt return, 12 punt returns, averaging 6.3 yards. The longest is 23, and he had 75 yards. He averaged 25.2 yards per kickoff. The longest was a 97-yard touchdown return against the Seahawks. And then he had 655 total yards on special teams, averaging 26.2. Robbie Gould, 16 games, missed only one field goal all year, 33 out of 34, 97.1 percentage. Longest of the season was 53-yard field goal. It was 27 out of 29 extra points. Ranked 7th in the NFL. And then the Niners also have stated that Greg Papa will be the Niners' new voice of the 49ers coming in 2019. He will replace Ted Robinson, who was at the helm for 10 years. Of course, he ended up spending some of his first few years with Eric Davis. Then it was just finished with the 5th year with Tim Ryan. Robinson was with the Niners for 10 years, from 2009 to 2018. Bob, and then of course all the great Niners play-by-play announcers. Of course, Bob Fouts, the father of NFL Hall of Fame great Dan Fouts of those great Charger teams. In fact, Dan Fouts, a lot of you don't know, went to St. Ignatius High School here in San Francisco. Also, of course, Lon Simmons, Don Klein, and Joe Starkey, who was there during the heart of the Niners dynasty. And then some other news broke down this week. 49ers fired strength and head conditioning coordinator Ray Wright. He spent 2 seasons with the Niners. They ended up having 17 players on injured reserve, including Jimmy Garoppolo. And they'll be looking for a new strength and conditioning coach. And then, finally, the 2019 NFL opponents. They'll be, of course, other than the division opponents, the Niners will get the NFC South and the AFC North. The Falcons will come to Levi's next year, or to the Mecca, Carolina, Green Bay, and then the Browns and the Steelers will be coming out here to Levi Stadium in Santa Clara next season. And if you want to go out there for the Niners play the Steelers, you better get your tickets when they go on sale sometime in the future. Then on the road, the Niners will go to, that's going to be a popular one, New Orleans Saints down at the Superdome. And that's a really hot road trip. Tampa Bay again, and then they go to the nation's capital to take on the Redskins in Washington. Then they play the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore, and they go to Cincinnati, Paul Brown Stadium, where the old stomping grounds of Bill Walsh, who was an assistant against with Paul Brown. Of course, they end up playing the Bengals, beating them 2 times in the Super Bowl in the 80s, and then the Niners will take on the Ravens in Baltimore, a rematch of Super Bowl 47. It will be the Niners' first trip back to Baltimore since 2011, when it was Hardball Bowl 1, when the Ravens beat the Niners that night on Thanksgiving night. So, there you have it with all the information for the 49ers opponents for 2019. And for more information on season tickets or traveling or anything for next year, please go to 49ers.com. That's 49ers.com, or call the Niners at 415-GO-NINERS. That's 415-GO-NINERS. Now, the schedule won't come out till sometime late April. Then we'll give you a full slate. Who will the Niners play at its date and time when the schedule comes out later, sometime in the spring. And the 2019 NFL Draft will be coming up in late April. Well, there you have it. That's it for the 49ers 2018 season in review. Check us out at NinersRadio.com for all the latest Niners news and the upcoming combine, what they're going to do in free agency in March and the draft, and so much more. go to NinersRadio.com or go to 49ers.com for more information. That's it for now. I'm Brian Professor E. Davis. Thank you for watching the 2018 San Francisco 49ers in review for NinersRadio.com. NinersRadio.com is an association with ASN Bay Area. Faithful then, faithful now.